The dirt on my mother's grave was still fresh when I returned to her house. My name is George Carter. I'm 29. My mother, Deborah Carter, was my everything. She raised me alone in our small home in Atlanta. She worked as a nurse to put me through school. 3 weeks ago, heart failure took her. Today we buried her. I stood in her quiet kitchen, still wearing my black suit, staring at the rain. My aunt and cousins had all gone home. The silence was heavy and loud. That's when the knock came. 3 soft taps on the front door. I thought it was my aunt returning. I wiped my eyes and opened the door. A woman stood there. She was older, maybe in her 70s, with gentle eyes and gray curls. She wore a simple raincoat. I had never seen her before. "George?" she asked, her voice soft. I nodded. "Forgive me for coming now. My name is Florence. I was your mother's friend." She held out a plain white envelope. "Deborah asked me to give this to you. Today. Only today. She said you would understand." I took the envelope. My name was written on it in my mother's handwriting. Florence touched my hand once, then turned and walked away into the drizzle before I could speak. I closed the door, my heart pounding. The envelope felt light. I sat on the living room sofa and carefully opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a small silver key. The key was on a simple ring. There was no note, just the key. I unfolded the paper. It was a letter from my mother. "My dearest George, if you are holding this, I am gone. Please forgive me. I've kept a secret my whole life. You deserve the truth." The key opens a storage locker. Locker number 312 at Secure Store on Magnolia Avenue. The password is your birthday. Everything is inside. The truth about your father. The truth about me. Be brave, my love. Mama. I read it twice, my hands shaking. My father? My mother always said he died when I was a baby. A sickness. I never doubted her. Now this key felt cold and heavy. The truth about her? What did that mean? The house felt emptier than ever. I called my best friend Marcus. He answered right away. "George, how are you holding up?" "Marcus, something just happened." I told him about Florence, the letter, the key. "Wow," he said, quiet for a moment. "A storage locker? You have to go check it out. It's Saturday evening. They're closed. I have to wait until Monday." "Okay, Monday then," Marcus said firmly. "I'll come with you. 9 o'clock. You shouldn't face this alone." I agreed. After we hung up, I just sat there. I looked at my mother's favorite chair, her knitting basket beside it. What secret was so big she had to lock it away? Sunday passed like a slow dream. I tried to tidy up, to make tea, but I couldn't focus. My mind was in that locker. My aunt called to check on me. "Do you need anything, baby?" "No, Auntie. I'm just resting. Take all the time you need. Your mama's love is all around you." Her words made my chest ache. If her love was so great, why did she lie? That night I couldn't sleep. I went into my mother's room. It still smelled like her perfume. I opened her closet. Behind her old winter coats, I found a small wooden box. Inside were more photos of me, my graduation cap tassel, and at the very bottom, a faded picture. It was my mother, young and laughing, her arm around a tall man. They were sitting on a park bench. He was smiling at her. On the back, in my mother's writing, it said, * Michael and me, June 94. That was the year before I was born. Michael. Was this my father? He looked full of life. Monday morning, Marcus picked me up at 9. We drove to the storage place on Magnolia Avenue. It was a big, tan building with a rolling gate. My hands were sweaty. We walked into the office. A man behind the counter looked up. "Help you?" "Yes," I said, my voice thin. "I need to access a locker. Number 312. It was in my mother's name, Deborah Carter. She passed away, but she left me the key and the password." I placed the silver key on the counter. The man checked his computer. "Name? George Carter. Her son." He nodded. "You'll need to show ID and a death certificate." I had brought the paperwork. He looked it over. "All right. Locker 312 is in Hall C. Use your key on the outer lock. The password is for the inner box. Take your time." He pointed us down a long corridor. We found Hall C. The lockers were tall and metal. My heart beat fast as we found number 312. I slid the silver key into the lock. It turned smoothly. I pulled up the heavy door. Inside was a small, dark space. A single metal lockbox sat on the floor. Marcus handed me his phone for light. There was a digital keypad on the box. My hands trembled as I entered my birthday, 081995. There was a soft click. I lifted the lid. On top was a stack of notebooks, the kind my mother used for her grocery lists. Underneath was a thick envelope. I picked up the first notebook. I opened it. My mother's handwriting filled the pages. Started like a diary. June 5, 1994. Today I met Michael. He came into the library where I work. He asked for a book on architecture. He has the kindest smile. I looked at Marcus. These are her diaries. Start from the beginning, he whispered. We sat on the concrete floor. I read the first notebook. My mother wrote about meeting Michael Rhodes. He was a young architect from a wealthy family. They fell in love quickly. But his family, the Rhodes family, was powerful in Atlanta society. They did not approve of my mother. She wrote about the pressure Michael felt. She wrote about finding out she was pregnant with me. The next entries were sad. October 12, 1994. Michael is scared. His father says he will be cut off from the family money. He says we have to end it. He gave me money. He asked me to go away. I love him, but I am so afraid. My mother took the money. She left Atlanta for a few months, staying with a cousin in Savannah. She came back to Atlanta after I was born, telling everyone my father had died. It was a story she stuck to for 29 years. The later notebooks were different. They were not diaries. They were records. My mother had written down dates, times, and names. She wrote about seeing Michael Rhodes in the newspaper. He had taken over his father's business, Rhodes Properties. He was a rich man married to a woman named Camille. They had 2 sons. My mother had kept track of his life from afar. One page had a note in big letters. He walks past my hospital every Tuesday. He never sees me. Another note said, his youngest son Jordan was born today. I cried all my shift. My eyes filled with tears. My mother watched the life she could have had, while she worked nights to pay our rent. George, look at this, Marcus said softly. He was holding the thick envelope. He pulled out legal papers. The first document was a contract. It said that in exchange for a payment of $15,000, Deborah Carter agreed to never contact Michael Rhodes or his family again, and to never claim him as the father of her child. My mother's signature was at the bottom, dated November 1994. The second document was a copy of a will. The last will and testament of Charles Rhodes, Michael's father. Marcus pointed to a paragraph. It says the family trust is to be shared equally among his grandchildren upon his son Michael's passing. We looked at each other. Grandchildren. You're his grandchild, Marcus said. But if no one knows I exist, I'm not in the trust, I replied, my voice hollow. The final paper in the envelope was a business card for a lawyer named Althea Jones. A note was paper-clipped to it, asterisk, she knows about these things. I was too tired to fight. You are strong. Be careful. We put everything back in the box. My mind was spinning. This was about more than a sad story. This was about money and a family that had paid my mother to disappear. In the car, Marcus was quiet for a minute. Then he said, what are you going to do? I need to talk to that lawyer, I said. My voice sounded stronger than I felt. I called Althea Jones's office that afternoon. Her assistant said she could see me the next day. I spent the night reading my mother's diaries. I cried for her loneliness. I felt a hot anger growing inside me toward Michael Rhodes. Althea Jones's office was downtown. She was a sharp, focused woman with kind eyes. I spread everything on her desk. I told her the whole story. She listened without interrupting. Then she examined the contract. This is a coercion agreement. Your mother was vulnerable, pregnant, and had no lawyer. A court may not uphold it. She then looked at the will copy. The key is establishing paternity. If Michael Rhodes is your biological father, you are a grandchild of Charles Rhodes. That likely gives you a claim to a share of the trust. They will fight hard. How do I prove he's my father? I asked. A DNA test. We need a sample from him. That can be difficult. We may need to get creative. The idea made me feel sick. What if he denies everything? Then we take it to court. But we get our proof first, Althea said. Do you have anything of his? A photo? I remembered the picture from the box. Just a photo of them together. That's a start for us, but not for a judge. We need DNA. For the next week, I felt like I was in a different world. Michael Rhodes was easy to find. Rhodes Properties had a big building. His picture was on their website. Althea hired a private investigator, a woman named Tanya. Tanya found out that Michael Rhodes had a regular lunch every Thursday at the same downtown club. That Thursday, Tanya and I waited in her car. I saw him walk out. He was older, but it was the man from the photo. My father. He was laughing, talking on his phone. He got into a black car. I felt nothing but a cold stone in my stomach. After he left, Tanya went into the club. She came out with a small bag. Inside was a used water bottle from his table. His fingerprints and saliva, she said. It felt wrong, but it was legal. We sent the bottle and a swab from my cheek to a lab. The wait for the results was the longest 10 days of my life. Finally, Althea called. The results are in. Come to my office. I sat across from her. She didn't smile. The test confirms it. Michael Rhodes is your biological father. The probability is 99.99%. I stared at the report. Seeing it in writing made it real. The man who had paid my mother to vanish was my father. Now we act, Althea said. We sent a formal letter to Michael Rhodes and his lawyers. We informed them of the DNA proof and your intent to claim your share as a grandchild of Charles Rhodes. We see how they respond. The letter was sent. The waiting began again. I barely ate. I barely slept. The response came not by letter but in person. It was a Tuesday night. My doorbell rang. I opened it to find a woman in an elegant suit. She was beautiful with perfect hair and cold eyes. George Carter? I am Camille Rhodes, Michael's wife. I was frozen. My father's wife was at my door. May I come in? She asked. Her tone left no room for refusal. I stepped back. She walked into our small living room, her eyes scanning everything. We received your demand, she said, not sitting. It is fantasy. That agreement your mother signed is binding. We will spend a fortune to crush you in court. You will end up with nothing. Her words were like knives. He is my father, I said. A biological accident, she replied smoothly. We are prepared to offer you $75,000. You sign a new, stronger agreement. You never speak of this again. You take the money and you disappear like your mother did. $75,000. It was life-changing money. But it was a bribe. It was silent money. I thought of my mother's tired eyes. I'll have my lawyer contact yours, I said, repeating Althea's words. Camille Rhodes's expression tightened. Foolish boy. She turned and left, her perfume lingering in the air. I called Althea immediately. They're worried, she said. The offer is proof. They don't want a public scandal. We do not accept it. We will file the legal claim tomorrow. We filed the papers. The story didn't make the big news, but it was in the local business section. Man claims share of Rhodes Family Trust. I ignored the phone calls from numbers I didn't know. Then I got a text from an unknown number. Asterisk George, this is Jordan Rhodes. I think I'm your brother. Can we talk? Asterisk. We met at a quiet park. Jordan was younger than me, maybe 24. He looked nervous and sincere. I'm so sorry, he said first. My dad, he just told us. My brother, Xavier, and me. We had no idea you existed. He explained that his mother, Camille, was furious. But his father had broken down and confessed the whole story to them. He's not a bad man, Jordan said, struggling for words. He's a weak man. He was always afraid of his own father. What he did was terrible. I'm not making excuses. I wanted to meet you. You're my brother. He handed me a folded paper. This is a copy of my grandfather's real will. My mom has her own version. Look at section 3. I opened it. The section said the trust was for the education and welfare of all my grandchildren. It did not say legitimate or named grandchildren. Your copy probably had extra words, Jordan said quietly. My mom can be persuasive. This is the one filed with the court. It doesn't exclude you. I looked at the paper on his face. He seemed honest. This changed everything. I took the new will to Althea. She compared it to our copy. He's right. The wording is completely different. If this is the true filed will, your claim is straightforward. And if Camille provided a falsified document, that is serious. We presented this new evidence at the next meeting with the Rhodes family lawyers. The mood in the room shifted. Their lead lawyer looked tense. The pressure was working. 2 days later, my phone rang. The voice on the other end was deep and tired. George? This is Michael. Michael Rhodes. I don't know what to say. I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I loved your mother, but I was not strong. I have lived with this shame every day. Please, can we end this battle? Can we find a solution? We did not become a family, but we reached a settlement. With Jordan's support and the real will, the Rhodes family lawyers advised them to agree. The final deal was this. I would receive a 12% interest in the Rhodes family trust. It was a lot of money, enough to never worry again. In return, I would not take any legal action about the altered will. Michael also agreed to a court-ordered DNA test to officially establish paternity. He also agreed to fund a community health center named for my mother, Deborah Carter. It was justice. It was an acknowledgement. It was what my mother deserved. A year has passed now. I still live in Atlanta in my mother's house, but I have renovated it. I sit on the community board for the new health center. Meetings with Michael are awkward and quiet, but we are civil. Jordan and I talk sometimes. He is a good person. Marcus helps me manage the trust fund. The first Deborah Carter Health Clinic opens next month. I visit my mother's grave every Sunday. I bring her flowers and tell her about my week. I was brave, Mama, I told her. Just like you asked. The truth was a storm. It shook my whole world. But my mother was right to give me the key. You have to know your whole story, even the painful chapters, to understand your own life. The secret is gone. The future is mine and I am finally free. Looking back, I see a mother who carried a heavy burden alone to protect me. I see a young woman who was given money to hide her truth. My advice is this: secrets have weight. They bend the people who carry them. The truth might be a hard light, but it is still light. It shows you the way forward. My story is not just about money. It is about a name, a right, and a love that was hidden. My mother's love was always real, even inside her lie. Now I honor her by living fully in the truth. If this story touches you, remember to be brave with your own life. Face your truths wherever they lead you. That is how you find your own key and how you finally unlock your future.